So for anyone struggling with no return, I think I may have found the single easiest character to play as. That character is Yara, and so today we're going to be going over the ultimate Yara guide for no return. Now, Yara's playstyle is called Teamwork, and that is based on the fact that she actually pairs up with Lev, meaning you will always have Lev with you when you are playing as Yara, regardless of the mode, unlike with a lot of other characters where you only actually get a certain character with you, either by random chance or obviously in modes like Holdout, for example, where you have to protect that character. Now, on the downside of having such a good perk with having Lev with you, you only start with the regular pistol. You don't get any secondary weapon at all. And in terms of her traits, her only trait is that she gets to pair with Lev, and then she also gets the ally upgrade branch. So she obviously kind of starts out with a little bit less than everyone else, only really having one trait and one weapon, but obviously having Lev there with you is very, very helpful. It is also worth noting too that you do also have a knife, as Yara doesn't actually say that anywhere, but you do start with a knife, so you can kill clickers in stealth and stuff, and it will be very helpful in hand-to-hand combat. So it isn't all bad, you do at least get a knife with you, but like I said, you start with a lot less stuff than every other character, and that is simply just for balancing reasons, because Lev does make this mode a lot easier when you always have a character there with you. I'm sure you guys have played a lot of modes with the allies, and you'll probably know how much easier it is in those different modes. That is what every single round is like with Yara, because like I said, you always have Lev there, so it is just a hell of a lot easier having two players rather than one. Obviously, Lev is not going to be nearly as, I guess, useful as you are. The AI are never going to be taking over and just killing every enemy for you or anything like that, but it is still very, very helpful, and I find myself getting through situations where I probably would have died if there wasn't an ally there with me, which is obviously very, very helpful, and like I said, that is essentially the whole point of playing Yara. One of the main reasons that Lev is going to be so useful is that he will often distract enemies for you, kind of taking the heat off of you, which means you can obviously then heal up or whatever you need to do, even just taking out those enemies that are distracted. It is especially going to be helpful with infected or melee enemies, because they will obviously have to come towards you or come towards Lev, rather than obviously being able to shoot from a distance. So especially when it comes to those infected encounters and stuff like that, he is very, very helpful to have on your side, as long as you can obviously stay close enough to him that you can kind of just sweep up the mess, because like I said, he's not going to just kill every single enemy. The allies in this game are definitely a little bit weaker than a regular character, or at least weaker than they are in the story, simply for balancing reasons. They don't want, Lev to just take out every single character for you. The other thing with Lev is that enemies often don't actually notice him when you are in stealth. So you might be perfectly hidden, for example, but Lev is kind of being a bit dumb and is clearly visible by the enemies. Yet out of, I guess, fairness to the player, they just won't always be alerted unless they actually see you rather than Lev, at least most of the time anyway. So don't worry so much about Lev being a bit of a spud sometimes and running in front of enemies when you're hiding. It's different if you are not crouching, for example. So if you're standing up, even if you're hidden, if he is running around not crouched, then they will see him. But for the most part, when you are both crouched, even if he runs, borderline straight in front of them, there is a lot of times when they actually won't see him. Sometimes they will, so it is still sometimes a little bit annoying, but for the most part, they do a really good job of just making that a little bit fair on you, that if you're hidden, then that kind of makes the enemies not really notice Lev most of the time. Now, before we go any further, if you guys are new to the channel and you are interested in more no return content, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. There is plenty more content on the way, so make sure you don't miss out. Now, another great way to make the most of Lev is trying to kind of just lure enemies towards you when Lev is closer to the enemies than you are, as like I mentioned, they won't really notice him in stealth, and so oftentimes they'll kind of just walk straight past him, at which point, if you're in, I guess, attack mode where he will actively attack enemies, then they've just walked straight past him and he will just deal damage to them. Then they will get distracted and they'll look at him instead. Then you can pop out from behind cover and kill the enemy. So trying to lure those enemies towards you, again, this works a lot better with either infected or just melee enemies who are carrying a baseball bat, for example. That is a really, really effective way to play, pretty much just like baiting them towards you with, popping out from cover, shooting them once, and then just kind of getting into cover. Then, like I said, they will essentially just come towards you, and Lev will do a lot of really, really good work, even sometimes killing those enemies and sort of saving you from having to waste your own ammo or obviously risking your own health. So if enemies know where you are, simply just hide behind some cover. Even if they still know where you are, they will just come towards you, and that will almost always work in your favor having Lev there. Now, the last thing that you kind of do need to take note of with Lev though is that if Lev dies, the encounter is a fail. So your whole run will obviously come to an end if he dies, and therefore you don't want to just be running away from him him if he's getting attacked or anything like that. You want to make sure you're sticking close enough to Lev that if he gets under attack, you can still save him. A lot of times enemies will get him in like a chokehold, for example, and he won't ever fight back until you come and save him. So it's not like you can just leave him there and let him fend for himself. If he gets the big sort of like a medic symbol above his head, then you need to go and save him, because it may as well be the same thing as if you died. So that is definitely worth noting. You don't want to get to the boss fight, for example, and you've made it all that way and you're not sure, and you know he's dying, and you just think, you know what, I'm just going to take out the boss. That is not going to work. You have to keep Lev alive, or else the run comes to an end. Now lastly, when it comes to the ally upgrade branch that I mentioned earlier, this is definitely something that you want to get finished as soon as you possibly can when it comes to upgrading. Now the first upgrade makes Lev fight more aggressively and therefore kill more often, which is going to save you a lot of ammo and health just having Lev being able to take out more enemies. The second upgrade just gives you a better listen mode, which is great, but it's not really overly important yet. It is absolutely required still, because the third upgrade is called Ally Lethality Plus, which essentially just doubles the first upgrade and makes Lev even more deadly. So it is 100% worth trying to put all of your supplements into upgrading that path straight away. The more lethal that Lev is, the better that is going to be for you, because he will at that point take out a lot more enemies. It essentially makes his bow and arrow just stronger, so he will actually get a lot of one-hit kills and stuff like that. And even when it comes to, if you make it to the boss fight, for example, he's just going to deal a lot more damage, which against like the bloater or the rat king or something like that is going to be very, very helpful. It's not only going to save you ammo, like I said, but it also can just help a hell of a lot in those, I guess, final moments of a boss fight or something like that, where you just need a little bit of extra damage and maybe you're reloading or whatever the case may be. Essentially, just the more deadly that Lev is, the better that is going to be for you. So absolutely focus on the ally upgrade branch early on. Try and get that first upgrade pretty much straight away after the first encounter, but the third one will obviously take a little bit longer. It is absolutely worth sticking in with that and just putting all of your supplements into that upgrade path, because once you have unlocked that third one, Lev is going to be even more deadly. Overall though, I think Yara is honestly one of the easiest characters to play in No Return. So if you guys are really struggling with the mode or anything like that, definitely give her a try. I think just having an ally with you at all times is definitely a hell of a lot easier. It can help you get yourself out of a pinch way easier than normal. It can kind of deal with the modes like Hunted a lot easier. It's not at all like it makes it a walk in the park or anything like that, but it definitely just kind of takes a bit of the pressure off, which is always very useful in such a high stakes mode like this. The least amount of pressure you're under, the better that is going to be for you, and Lev can definitely alleviate a lot of that pressure. But that is it for some of the best tips and tricks when it comes to playing as Yara, guys. If you have any tips of your own, be sure to leave them down in the comment section, and keep your eyes peeled for all of the other character guides coming out. There's already a ton that are uploaded on the channel already, so make sure you don't miss out. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.